Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears. Roman Emperor and Essendon fan Marcus Aurelius.
Hello everybody. Well, the Bombers released their injury list, the official injury list, late on Tuesday afternoon. We're just going to talk about that and go through the players, not just the obvious ones like Sam Draper and such, which everybody's been talking about, but some of the less obvious ones on there and some of the ones who are maybe forgotten players who we haven't talked about for a little while. So we're going to get into that right now. Thanks to everybody who's been subscribing to the channel. I've hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is absolutely fantastic. I never thought I'd be able to do that in such quick time. So thanks to everybody. That's been really appreciated. I want to keep growing the channel and I hope you appreciate the content. So Kyle Langford is officially a test. Of course, he suffered a right hamstring strain a few weeks ago and it was quite a serious hamstring strain, but he should be right for the big match against Collingwood. I don't think he will come back through the reserves. I think he will come straight into the team. He's too good a player to come back through the reserves. Brad Scott does actually like to bring players back through the twos, but Kyle Langford I don't think will be in that situation. He will come straight back in, presuming he does pass the test, but he is, I think, well, pretty much over the hamstring strain. It's just a matter of if they want to be conservative and push it back another week or if they want to play him on Friday. So I guess we'll find out on team selection on Thursday night, but he is essentially over his injury. Same with Dersma, who is pretty sore. I mean, Dersma copped a really heavy hit to the abdomen late in the game against West Coast. It looked really, really serious at the time. I remember watching that and I thought, gee, this guy's either been winded really, really badly or he's got a knock to the kidneys or something, but it looked like he was having trouble breathing and everything. So the official explanation is soreness and he's a test. They say he's right. I think he'll be right. I think he'll play. It wouldn't surprise me if he didn't play, though. I mean, just looking at how hard he got hit and how much he was struggling, it wouldn't surprise me if they just held him off a week. But if anything, I would say he's probably 70-30, and I think he'll be a starter in the team against Collingwood. And to be honest, he's been a pretty good player for us over the last couple of weeks. We've definitely benefited from him being in the team. I like his attitude. He's a good runner. He's a versatile type of player, and he just gives us something a little bit different that the other players don't give. So I hope he's able to play, and by all reports he'll be picked in the side on Thursday night for the big game on Friday. Nick Cox, of course, for much of the pre-season and into the early rounds of the season, had suffered concussions and was dealing with the remnants of past concussions. So you want to get all that stuff right. But he suffered a minor calf setback in training and he's still a week away. Whether he'll get back into the side at the moment, I don't think he would make it into the side at the moment. I don't really know, looking at the side, who you would drop, especially given players like Langford and Cwell are going to be coming back into the side and things like that. But look, he is still at least a week away, and let's assume that he would probably resume his season in the twos, I would think. Gelfie, who did a really serious hamstring strain and was out for, about 8 to 10 weeks, when he actually had surgery on it, is back in a week. I think Gelfie might come back through the twos as well. He obviously won't play this week. We've got North Melbourne the week after. That might be an opportunity for him to play in the reserves, and he might even play 1 or 2 games in the reserves and then come back in. I'm not quite sure where he fits into our team. Last year, he was 100% in our best 22. There's no doubt about that. And he was a pretty good player for us. Kicked a lot of goals and was a handy forward down there. But if you look at our team now, who comes out for him? Kako, I guess, even though they're slightly different type of players, has kind of taken that spot. And Caddy, of course, as well, who was only in the side for, whatever it was last year, 10 games or whatever it was, is now pretty much a regular. So I don't know if it's a certainty that he would just come straight back in after a couple of games in the twos as well. But we'll see. But he is still a week away. Angus Clark, when I covered one of the VFL games a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that he went off in the first quarter. He suffered a broken collarbone. He's still a week away, but he won't be in the seniors anyway. He will be coming back through the reserves, and he is not quite ready for senior football just at the moment. Angus Clark, of course, was the player that won all the time trials and outdid a lot of the senior players during the pre-season. So he's got a pretty good tank on him and he's got some assets to him, but he's not quite ready to play senior football at the moment. Cwell is the one we want to see back in the team. He's probably in our top 3 or 4 players. Suffered a hamstring injury at training, of course, after round 3. Why do these things always happen at training? It's amazing, isn't it? But he is out for another 2 weeks, so he'll miss this week and the North Melbourne game. And he's every chance to be back for the game against the Sydney Swans on the 10th of May. That is when I would be expecting him to be back. That is, as I write this, that is more than 2 weeks away. We do play, of course, on the Friday this week, so that is the game against the Swans would be another 15 days after that. So I would imagine he would probably be right for that. Darcy Parish is the interesting one. Darcy Parish is becoming a bit of a forgotten player. We're just getting used to the fact that he's not there. Of course, he suffered a calf strain, which was on top of dealing with all his back issues. You know, he was dealing with back soreness and back complaints, and we wanted to get that right. And just as he was on the verge to play again, he suffered a calf strain, and calf strains tend to keep you out for 3 or 4 weeks. This is obviously very frustrating for everybody. He's on a lot of money. He's on a big contract. He suffered a lot of injuries last year, and he just can't get on the park. And, at his best, we remember what he's like at his best. He's a ball magnet. He's an asset to the side, but he just can't get out there. So we really need to treat Parish as if he's a, second half of the season prospect. With Darcy Parish, I would look at, say, round 12, and that's his round 1. That's how I would look at it. Round 12, round 13, something like that. Treat that as his round 1. All right? This is kind of his, we're a few weeks into pre-season and we're, 4 or 5 weeks away from round 1. That's how I would treat Parish, and he is a second half of the year prospect where you would hope he gets into the side and builds and can play some sort of role. And if the team does exceed expectations and get into the finals, he could be playing his best football towards the end of the year. But I would make sure I would take zero risks with him whatsoever. There is absolutely no point rushing him back. We're so used to playing without him at the moment anyway, obviously, that there's just, no reason to risk him at all. But, his estimated return, the club can't even decide. They say to be confirmed. So what does that mean? Calf injuries normally are 3 or 4 weeks, or even a little bit more than that, and you still got the back issue on top of it. So, yeah, I'd be treating him as a second half of the year prospect and just making sure we take no risks. And look, if he can get 8 or 9 games, good games into him before the end of the season, and hopefully, finals maybe, depending on how the team goes, touch wood, he could still play an important role in the second half of the year. Then the other 3 injured players are the ones we are all aware of: Sam Draper, Nick Bryan, and Tom Edwards, all with season-ending injuries. The thing that worries me about Sam Draper is the fact that it was an Achilles injury. We hear other players who have done Achilles injuries say they lose a bit of spring. It's something they all say. They're not quite right after it. They don't have quite that leap. And that's for players that are not ruckmen. The thing that worries me about Drapes is that, well, no one needs their spring more than a ruckman, do they? So it's really an awful injury for a ruckman. It's an awful injury for anyone, but particularly for a ruckman. You wonder whether he'll get that leap back again. So, these things can actually be even more than 12 months. You might even miss, a large portion of next year. It's one of the few occasions where you would have rather he'd done an ACL. Players do ACLs all the time and they're absolutely terrible, but they tend to come back 100%. Lots of players have come back and then, won best and fairest and Brownlow medals after having done ACLs. There's just dozens and dozens of players. So whilst an ACL is obviously serious in terms of longevity, you pretty much know that you're going to be able to come back and still be able to play your best footy. It happens all the time. We're not quite sure how he's going to come back from this Achilles. We all hope that with modern medical technology that they're going to be able to, make it 100% and he's going to be able to come back to the best of his ability. But just with that ability to, that need for a ruckman to leap off that foot, and, that's one of his strengths, you do wonder. So, we're really concerned. I'm concerned for him. I'm concerned for his career. Look, but you just got to put faith in the medical staff and hope that he's okay. The other 2, of course, are Nick Bryan and Tom Edwards. We don't need to go into that too much. Both of those are out for the season. You can look at my video that I made on our draft strategy for the upcoming mid-season draft. We will have 3 picks in it. If the club want to use all 3 picks, they can pass if they want. But I think we'll have the opportunity to use 3 picks because we'll have 3 players who are on the inactive list. And who we pick to replace those players, whether they be a ruckman or whether they be just the best available player. Of course, we picked up Sard El Hawley. I have got the name right on this occasion. I have been struggling with my verbiage on it, but we did pick up Sard last year with that. He's still on the list this year. So it'll be interesting to see how we attack that mid-season draft with those players out. And yeah, so that's it. That's all the players on the list who are currently injured or are a test. And apart from the season-ending injuries, the three of them, there's a bit of hope left with the other ones. Langford's back, of course. Cwell's not far away. Dersma should play. Parish is the one that concerns me because we just don't know what's going on with him. That is the injury list for Essendon on the afternoon of Tuesday. I'm going to leave it there. Hope everyone is having a great day. And as always, go Bombers!